I am down at the ICC in Newport today. I'm at the Wales and West show, and I'm going to be asking everybody the questions that obviously you want to know the answers to. And that is, does size really matter when it comes to sensors? Let's get in there and have a gander. Does size matter when it comes to the sensor size on a camera?
I think it depends on what you're shooting. Whether you're shooting indoors or outdoors. If you're shooting more indoors, I think it does matter if you want a cleaner image and video. So obviously everyone says full frame. It's just the physics. Full frame allows more light in, so it's gonna be better image quality. But if you're shooting outdoors a lot of the time, most of the time, I think you could absolutely get away with a smaller sensor. And also it depends on if you want that width. Like landscape photographers or videographers, they might prefer to have the width of the full frame rather than a cropped sensor. But then wildlife photographers, they sometimes like the reach of an APS-C size sensor.
Yeah.
So they actually prefer to go for a smaller sensor. So that's my honest answer, yeah.
Does size matter?
Well, I'm glad you clarified that we're talking about sensor size there, so that's a good start. Does size matter? Yes, but not for the reason that most people probably think. They just think bigger is better, and that's absolutely not the case. It's about choosing the right style, size of sensor for the job at hand. For example, if I'm doing travel filmmaking or documentary style filmmaking, having a full frame sensor is going to make my life a little bit harder when it comes to focus pulling. It's also going to make life a little bit harder if you want to travel light, keep your package really lightweight, because naturally the glass has to be bigger.
Yeah.
If you want to get that longer focal length. So I think it comes down to thinking about what it is that you actually require from the camera. And then choosing the best one for the job, like anything, right?
When it comes to sensors and video and photo, do you think size matters?
I don't think so at all, no. I think the size, having a smaller sensor allows smaller lenses as well, because we don't have to make a lens big enough to cover the full frame system. So you can actually get some of our fantastic smaller size portable lenses for crop sensor. So I think actually the crop sensor has an edge over full frame occasionally, but obviously there is the option of our full frame lenses, which obviously are amazing as well.
Does size matter?
It's a really good question, and I'm very much of the mindset that once you hit a limitation with what you've got, then it's time to move on. So if the size of the sensor is working for what you're doing, then by all means shoot with that. If it works for you, great. Keep your money in your pocket. It's better there. But if you're finding that limitation, maybe it could be low light or something like that, or maybe you want more room in your frame and keeping your subject dominant within it, then it's probably time to explore a different sensor size.
Does size matter?
Depends what you're doing. It's there's lots of different camera sizes. I mean, everything is around full frame. We've just launched new full frame cameras, so yeah, there's there is new stuff out there. However, we also do micro four thirds, and as I've said to many people, it depends what you're shooting. If you are doing a lot of, say, sports photography, you want longer glass, then sometimes it's easier with a micro four thirds. Quality is still there. The quality isn't the issue. It's the size of the lenses and the size of the glass that you're carrying. So yeah, that's the key thing. I've got a couple of examples I can sort of bring into frame.
Yeah.
So that would be a 70-200 2.8 in micro four thirds. That is a 70-200 2.8 in full frame. Which one do you want to lug around a motorsport circuit or up and down mountains and things like that?
Oh, after this weekend, I can guarantee it's going to be the small. Oh, you dropped something. Guarantee it's the smaller one, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. The quality is still there. That's what we're saying. That with micro four thirds, it's a great system. Allows you to carry a lot more glass and things in your bag and everything with you, and more flexibility. However, on the flip side, full frame does better in low light. It's going to give you better separation in terms of shallower depth of field. So there's not one answer, and that's also why you can get medium format and you get large format and you get all it. There's not one solution.
I think, right, I think because people are so used to having things like filmed on iPhones these days,
yeah,
I would argue that the younger generation of videographers and photographers don't necessarily care about that separation and that depth of field because they've grown up not having it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say the thing I noticed with phones, they all suddenly start promoting a portrait mode, which is depth of field. It's just putting it in digitally, because the sensor's so small and the depth of field is so great. Focusing is a lot easier when everything's in focus from here to infinity. So yeah, it's putting that look back in digitally. So at which point, maybe do it in camera.
Happy days.
Fix it in post is not the answer.
As a photographer, would you say size matters when it comes to using a camera?
Always. But it's not what you got, it's what you do with it. That's the most important thing.
Because you see a lot, like, I've said this to people all weekend, you know, if you're somebody that is just getting into content creating, or you want to improve the production value of what you're already doing to promote your business, you go on YouTube and everybody is going, you need full frame, you need full frame. I don't think that's the case.
No, I would agree with that. And I use an APS-C camera a lot of the time, so which is like a 23, 24 megapixel camera, and that's plenty. I blow up stuff. Back in the day, I had a 12 megapixel, 12.5 megapixel camera, and I was blowing things regularly up to 3 foot by 2 foot with that. Absolutely fine. And with a 24 megapixel camera, 5 foot, 6 foot, I mean, how big do you need something to be? And for me, it's more about how you get on with your camera. And you know, I'm a Pentax ambassador, and I love these cameras. I've used Pentax cameras for 30 years. I love them. But the best camera is always the one that you've got with you. And so, you know, if you like taking pictures on a phone, go that route, because it's the camera you've got with you, and you'd be better off taking a photograph with that camera that you have on you than not taking a photograph at all. And so for me, always, yeah, size doesn't really matter at all for me, truthfully. But it really doesn't, because I just think it's about what have you got and what can you do with it. That's the only thing that's important.
I think the answer to the question of does size matter when it comes down to sensor sizes is really no, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do with it and what you want to use it for. So if you are looking to get into content creating, you're looking to up your game to improve your social media for tattooing or whatever you want to do it for, understand one thing: the best camera you have is the one you have on you at that time. And you don't need to get full frame. You can do Micro Four Thirds, you can do APS-C. It's just all about creating cool content. And yeah, there we go. I'm off now because I've got to pack up and head home. Have an awesome day.